The following modification is undertaken at your own risk. Completion of said modification may irreversibly damage your component. If you're in any doubt, do not try this at home. By failing to do this modification correctly, you stand a good chance of destroying your model. Model companies are not obliged to replace your failed modification. Remember, I make mistakes, so you don't have to.
Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world. This is the world of Wayne. Now, last week, as you know, we got pack 3 of the Orca, which is just the cabin section we done here. We obviously put the top on as well. I have actually done some modifications to it. So what I've done is I've created the Deck Prism. I've modded the interior light, and I'm just going to show you some techniques of how to paint the interior. So we're going to jump straight into it, and the first thing I'm going to be tackling is that Deck Prism. Now, if you don't know what that thing was, we thought that thing was a drain that's behind Hooper. It's not a drain, it's a Deck Prism, which looks just like this. So I tried to manufacture my own one. Now, the difference between the one in the film and the one you just saw in the picture there is that there's no border on it. It's actually built in between the panels, I'm thinking. So that's pretty much the way I went with it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is this thing here. Now, I painted it silver thinking it was a drain, but I've since found out this is a Deck Prism, which is basically a light source which takes the sunlight and it beams it into the lower cabin area. So you'd think you could just drill a hole through this, perhaps fill it with resin so it comes out the other side, but we're not going to be able to do that because if we drill a hole all the way through here, it's going to go through this beam, which I don't want it to do. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole just into the top deck here, mark out a semicircle where it's going to come out this side, and I'm going to have a semicircular light here. And then it's going to be doing the job of a Deck Prism, but it's not going to impede this structural sort of like timber that goes along here. I'm going to be dealing with the light afterwards as well, but let's do the Deck Prism first. So to start this, I'm going to have to remove the 6 screws here to take this bottom plate off. So I can now separate this. Now obviously this is attached into this section here. I'm just trying to see if I can just leave that off like that. I think I'm going to be able to, without having to take all the wires out and stuff like that. I don't think I need to do that. Now, let me look at the underside here. So again, if I was to have drilled a hole through here just blind, I would have gone straight through this wire here. And we don't want to do that. So I have moved that out the way. Now, let's have a quick look at how wide that hole is. Okay, it's 9 mils. So I'm going to be drilling a 9 mil hole down there. Now, just looking at this, I am going to have to take off this whole section here to get to that. So let me do that now. Again, 4 more screws. Now, I do want to do this properly. So what I'm going to do, if you remember, I haven't actually attached this in. I think I am going to be taking all of these plugs out, because this is what we're going to be working on. Okay, so a 9 mil hole I'm going to be drilling in here. Look at this, because this pipe here I actually secured in on the underside, it's still there, so that's going to already be lined up when I put that back in place again. That's handy. Okay, a 9 mil hole I'm going to drill in here. Now it's typical that my drill press won't take a 9 mil bit. It only goes up to 8 mil, so I'm going to have to do this by hand. And then I'm going to tidy it up with this needle file here, just around the edges. Okay, that's perfect. So let's just have a look how this is going to be going. It's going to be going on here. Now, what I want to do, I'm just going to feed these wires through here, because I just want to see how this fits on the top. And now you can see through the hole where the problem is, that if I was to drill all the way through there, I'm going to be going straight through this pillar right here. Now we do have an area which I'm gonna draw in, which is around here, that I can make a semicircular hole into this section here without going through that. So if I take that off now, you can see that this is where I'm going to have my deck light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be cutting a semicircular hole just there. In the meantime though, I've got this UV tape, and I want the tidy side to be on this side here. So I'm going to be putting the tape on this side here, but we need to make sure it's flat. So as you can see, I just picked up a little bit of plastic on the top. Didn't mean to do that. Try again. Perfect. So I'm getting that nice and flat on there like that. Turn this over, and I've got the UV resin. Now I'm going to squeeze out some of this UV resin here, and I'm being very slow with it because I don't want bubbles in this. I'm going to fill up this cavity. Now that is looking really good. I'm just flattening this down. There you go. I like that. Now obviously this is the side you're not seeing, but I want to make sure it's lying flat on the other side, which I believe it is. I'm just letting it settle before I add any more. Okay, when we're happy with this, I'm going to be blasting this with the UV light. And it's going to take about 20 seconds. There we go. That's that side done. Now I can peel this off of this side. Oh, that looks brilliant. And I'm going to give it a blast from this side. And it's perfectly flat on top. I love that. But there you go. That's how that's looking. Okay, now I'm going to be drilling a small hole in here, just enough so I can get my needle file in here. So as you can see, I've drilled a little hole in there, and it hasn't gone through this center beam. And now I've got this little grinder where I'm just going to widen this hole. So I've got a hole in there. Now this time I'm going to be building up a lens from the other side. So what I want to do is again put some of this UV tape on here, because I'm going to be putting some resin in here, but I'm going to be building it up into sort of like a dome. So let's get a flat coat in first. Just like that. That's got him beautifully. All right, let's whack that. So it actually looks like a dome light now. That looks really good. So we can take this side off now. I'll blast it from this side. And if we just do a test now on this, with all of this into place, and it's looking like that, I am going to be putting probably, let me think, some silver below that, I think, because it kind of looks silver in there on the underside here. But what I'm going to do is shine a light through this, which will go through the top, and now as you can see it's coming out to the bottom there, and that's what it's looking like there. As you can see, pretty cool. Okay, I'm really happy with how that's turned out. So to keep the best of both worlds, I'm going to put a chrome reflective surface all around here. And around the side. Nice. I like that. I'm even going to cut a tiny bit of this aluminium tape I've got. I put this on the cavity here. Love it. Okay. All that leaves now is this light I've got in here, which you're going to have a heart attack now because I'm actually going to cut this wire. I'm going to cut it quite close to this because I am going to be changing the bulb. And it's this that I'm going to be working from. Now this is a warm white SMD, really tiny bulb this is. I just want to see how this acts when I put it through the lamp here. So what I'll do is I'll just light the bulb using a 3-volt battery. Let's see how that looks. That's how it's looking. I think that's going to work because I want the wires to be this thin. I like that. Now I am intending not to put a resistor on this, so I am just going to check it with 6 volts to make sure that that doesn't blow. And that's going to be quite bright. I'm quite happy with that. Okay. Now ever since we've been working with 1/8 scale cars, this stuff is brilliant for passing extra thin cables like this through. As you can see, that's the black one in, and I'm going to get that in all the way, and then I'm going to do exactly the same with the red one. And there you go. Come out the other side here, and we're going to be securing this with resin again just into here. So to do that, I've got a little helping hands here. Make sure that's centered. Put the resin in there and let it float down, and then blast it. Do exactly the same inside here to give the effect of a bulb. As you can see, I've got that nice and centered in there. So that's what the light's looking like at the moment. Let's light this again. Make sure it still lights up. Perfect. That's going to look good. Let's turn the lights out. As you can see. Right. Okay, I'm going to put some tape on here now to keep that into place. And as you can see, that is now how that's hanging down. Now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to make a branch off of this one, like this here, going around the cabin. So even though this is still going to be powered by the main thing, you'd think the power source is coming from elsewhere because this is going to look like it's coming from that. But we're in a position now where I can almost start putting it back together. I just need to solder back on the connector here.
A few moments later.
So there you go, that's all soldered in. I'm going to put these in, just some insulating here to keep them separate from each other. So that's good. We are now in a position that I can start putting all of this back together. So let's do that. And what I'm going to do now is just see how this looks. So let's put this on here and make sure everything works. So I'll plug this in, and I'm pleased to say everything works. So we now have this. We have a Deck Prism, and obviously inside we've got the light as well, which looks like it does in the film. Obviously I'm going to be tracing that cable around the interior ceiling, but it looks a lot more realistic. And then obviously the spotlight's working too. Now I know you're not going to let me go if I don't tell you how I'm going to be doing the wood inside. Now before I do that, I'm going to do that off camera. We can actually use the back section of the wood here, which you're not going to see, to actually do a trial on. This colour's not too far away from it, but it is very shiny, as you can see. I'm going to show you how we dull that down. So I'm using some yellow ochre at the moment. Now I'm actually using the Model Air, just saves me adding water to it, which is what I was going to do, because obviously the water's already on it. But I'm not putting that directly on here. I'm putting it on, as you can see here, a a kitchen towel, and I'm just going to keep all the grain in one place by putting this yellow ochre into place. To get wood grain effect, you have to go in the same way, like this. Okay, you get the idea. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, that's good. Let that dry. And now I'm going to be using the Model Air. This is a lot thicker colour, this is, because this is model colour. This is wood grain. I think burnt umber's not too far away from this as well. But I'm doing exactly the same thing. I'm going to be putting this directly on a towel. And I've loaded up my brush, but it is dry brushing this. So whereas you can see that there, when I go down here, I'm going to get streaks. Just like this. And it's basically just a mixture of the ochre and the burnt umber. Let me try and move my camera and show you how this looks in a more natural light. So obviously we've got that colour there, which is the colour of that. And then I've brought that up to looking like that. And that is how I'm going to be doing the interior. So I really hope you like that video. This is what I've done with my model. Do what you want with your model, but you know what? It's so encouraging seeing everyone that's building the Orca doing their own thing to it. I think it's brilliant because you can't really go too far wrong with this because it just needs to look really grubby and beat up. So go to town, have a go yourself. But remember, this is at your own risk. Anyway, I hope you like that video. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please remember to subscribe. Other than that, take care.